Hey everybody, Matty Ice here, doing another guide for the Grandmaster Warden of Nothing. Just wanted to start this out by just saying that at the end of the video I'll go over a couple different loadouts, kind of like I did with Insight Terminus, and give you recommendations for what to do there. Otherwise, the background gameplay you'll see is from my run through with friends during my completion for my seal, and yeah, let's get into it. So first thing you'll want to do here is just kind of go through this opening section. There's nothing really different about this part. It's kind of the same thing as usual, just there's going to be stronger adds because you're power capped and one overload champion. Just kind of handle them with whatever weapons you have. We use Divinity for a couple different reasons here. Just one, because it auto stuns when you hit them, and two, it provides extra damage so you can quickly kill them. But otherwise, you're just going to kind of go through this room as normal and get into this train section and just follow that all the way to the end, where you go to like the next section. Only call out I want to make here is that in this opening room, there are actually 2 trains. So if you're doing this normally, you can kind of speed run through and skip the second train. You can make it to the end. But for Grandmasters, I recommend just waiting for that second train to go by so you don't accidentally get clipped by it. Once you've made your way through the train section, you'll get to this next the next train section. You want to make sure you stun that Unstoppable. As you can see here by the gameplay, he actually got killed by the train. So you want to put some damage on it to count it as a kill for you, otherwise you will miss out on platinum. Otherwise you're just going to kind of go through this whole section as normal. And what you'll see here is actually you can go on top of the rails. I prefer the left side because there's no ads on the left side. There's a couple in the middle that you can shoot. But otherwise you can just hop on top here and bypass the trains altogether so you don't accidentally get clipped. And there's no issues there. So you're going to take the railing all the way to the end where there's another Unstoppable, and then you'll proceed to the next area where you fight some more Vex. Alright, so as I mentioned before, you're going to go into this next section after killing that Unstoppable. There's going to be 2 barrier hobgoblins and 1 Vex Hydra. So again, just kind of play back, use the cover that's available, and just watch out for the arc pools on the ground from killing the goblins. And just again, take it slow. That's kind of the moral of most Grandmasters if you're not aware. Just take things slow and use the cover as much as possible. All right, so once you've killed everything, the giant boss Minotaur will spawn. I recommend using the staircase to the left as cover because you have this wall to hide behind next to the stairs, and then there's also that little pop-up barrier in front of you that you can use. There's a lot of good cover here, and the Minotaur doesn't have a whole lot of health, so it's just a matter of waiting until he's in a good spot and keeping the ads clear while you wait for him to get in a good spot. So you can see I'm using the cover here. You can throw grenades, shoot him with your heavy. This is one of the 2 good spots to do damage from. The other's in the center of the room. But you're just going to keep playing it out, taking it slow until you're able to kill him all the way. So once you've taken him out, you're just going to go up the chute here, and that'll take you into the next section where it's like the pre-arena area. So again, in here there's 2 Unstoppables and a lot of Cabal. So just use the cover that's available. If you've noticed here on the screen, one of our teammates has been down for quite a while. If that happens to you, you cannot pull them forward until you get to the big open arena area, which is after this section. So unfortunately, if you get to a point where you can't go back, the game will not actually pull them forward until you get to this next section that's coming up. And you're just going to have to 1 or 2 man it depending on how many people are down. But yeah, so you just use this section, use the cover, and just, again, take it slow, clear it out step by step. There's no real reason to rush here. So once you've taken the elevator up, this is the arena area. This is where we'll actually pull your down fire teammates to you. For this section, there's 3 barriers and 1 overload initially. My recommendation here is actually before you start doing any damage, is run around and shoot these mines. Now, what these mines do is they'll pop up and create a zone of slow. This slow will remove your restoration buff and cause you to start instantly taking damage as well as slowing you. So you want to clear those out because when you go to defuse the mines later, it's going to be pretty important to travel around here as much as possible. I also recommend shooting the barrels just so you don't accidentally blow yourself up later. But otherwise, once you've cleared those out, you can start working your way up towards the center, and I recommend taking out the overload first and then focusing on the barriers. So once you've taken out all the stuff, the mines are going to spawn starting with the center mine. I recommend looking at this door over here to the right side. This is where the barrier is going to come out, and the unstoppable is going to be next to him. Now with the diffusing of the mines, you have 1 minute from when it spawns to defuse it, and the timer stops when you're actively defusing it. So you don't want to progress too far until you've killed the 2 champions. You can see us getting on and off the zone here as necessary. So you can see my down teammate. I hop out with 5 seconds left of defusing, just so we don't clear it and start the next section of mines before we've cleared the champion and get the res. So definitely recommend being aware of your diffusion timing, and then make sure you kill all the champions, get everyone up. So once you get to the next section here, there's going to be an overload that spawns in the center. Now, when I did this initially, we did skip one of these champions and ended up getting gold. So my recommendation for ensuring you get platinum is target that overload initially, then everyone come over to the B side and clear this mine out. And then by the time you get to the C side, there will be another champion that spawns, and you'll have the time to eliminate that champion while jumping on and off the C diffusion. So you'll see over here, I start heading towards C while my allies clean up B side, and I start pre-clearing C. And what we're going to do here is I'll plant a well just to make sure that I can clear this solo while they go ahead and tag any champions that spawn. You can see the champion appears there as there's only 14 seconds left on C, but it's almost diffused. But the overload has already spawned, so we're able to have enough time to kill him before it removes him and despawns him for the next section of the boss fight. So again, just make sure you're able to clear all the champions, or at least put damage on them before they're despawned if you want to get platinum rewards from this strike. Otherwise, you're just going to keep doing this as normal, where the big boss spawns in the center. He's fairly weak. Just use the cover to your advantage. Throw a couple grenades, use some heavy if you have it, but just make sure you save enough heavy for the final boss fight. Now once you've cleared the boss and made your way down to the treasure room, this is a part that is kind of a known bug. You want to stagger your descents here so that you don't all drop at the same time. You'll see that my 2 allies drop at the same time. I kind of hover a little bit to provide some distance, and you'll see that one of my teammates actually does go down and die because of that. Now the problem with doing this is that his res actually went back to the top of the tunnel, so we're not able to go back and get him, but he will get pulled forward when we both jump down into the arena. However, before we do that, I recommend shooting the unstoppable and letting the Vex do some of the work, but just put in some damage on him and take him out before you jump down, because the last thing you want is for the unstoppable to rush up on you and push you outside the map, killing you, or just hitting you and killing you some other way. So once we take him out, I actually jump into the arena to get a little bit better vantage point on the overload and barriers. My ally will actually jump in here with me. And shortly after we do that, our partner's res will be pulled in, but we focus the overload first, again, because the overloads are the ones that rush you and can heal and are, quite frankly, a little bit more annoying. And then we target the barrier champions and make sure we are able to deal with both of them fairly easily. So now that we've got all 3 of us up, there's only 1 barrier champion left. We quickly dispatch him, and then I recommend going to that pillar on the right, kind of where he's next to, and that's where you'll be doing a lot of your boss DPS from. So I'm just going to let this play out real quick because it actually goes fairly fast on the boss fight. So as soon as you kill him, drop your well as soon as the servitor starts talking, and then you want to do your damage. Now I'm using a bait and switch linear cataclysmic. You can see the damage ramps up to 50,000 per crit. Then I run out of ammo, but he's already practically dead. So you can see the boss phase is very quick. None of the other stuff spawns, so you don't have to worry about any additional adds. And there's the platinum rewards. Alright, so getting into the loadout options I'm going to be providing initially are for the Starfire Protocol build. So I recommend going with Arbalist, as it will take care of the barrier champions, and it's a linear fusion rifle. Your I prefer Trustee as the scout rifle, but you should have a scout rifle for the unstoppable champions. And this one just happens to be solar, which kind of meshes well with other solar qualities as I'm running a Starfire build. And then I have a bait and switch Cataclysmic with 4th times. This is kind of useful because, again, there's solar burn here, so you're doing that extra damage. It integrates well into your solar 3.0 loadout, and it's going to do a lot of damage with that bait and switch perk active. Now, this is also linear fusion, so when we go over to our mods, we're going to have a linear fusion finder. That's going to be extra useful because we have 2 linear fusions active. Otherwise, I'm running Explosive Wellmaker and Harmonic Siphon. For the arms, I have Unstoppable Scout with Bolstering Detonation and Elemental Ordnance. On the Starfire Protocol chest, I have it with Seeking Wells, and then Arc Resist and Armor of the Dying Star, which is the seasonal armor mod. You could swap this around a little bit and just run double of the seasonal mod. There's not a whole lot of arc damage here, but there is some, so it's kind of up to you if you think you need the extra arc resist. For the boots, Well of Life and Recuperation, and then on the bond, I have it at Stasis for Classy Restoration and Utility Kickstart. Now going into aspects and fragments, since this is a Starfire build, it's pretty straightforward. You're going to have Empowering Rift with a Fusion Grenade. Again, I prefer Celestial Fire. It just has the range for it. I'm going to go Well of Radiance for, again, kind of standard reasons here. Touch of Flame. Icarus Dash you can kind of swap out if you wanted to. I prefer Icarus Dash just because it gives you some mobility and allows you to escape certain situations. Whereas Heat Rises, you'll be able to get your melee back faster if you jump in the air every now and then to kill stuff. And then also you can eat your grenade to get a burst of healing. But with Classy Restoration, that probably won't be useful. For fragments, I'm going to go Torches to become Radiant, Solace to have increased Radiant Restoration, Ashes for more Scorch stacks, and then this one's a flex slot. I run Char because it gives me 100 Resilience, 100 Discipline. You could go Empyrean here if you think you're going to be able to get those solar kills quickly. Again, your abilities do count for that, so if you're chucking grenades, you know, this could be useful. But again, this is your flex slot. Whatever you want to put in here is kind of up to you. I recommend whatever will get you to that 100 resilience. I think that's going to be a little more important than the potential of an Empyrean here. Now, if you are going to run Stasis, this is kind of my recommendation here. Keep your weapons pretty similar, with Arbalest as your barrier breaking linear, Trusty, or whatever scout rifle you want in your energy slot to stun the Unstoppables. You could also do something here for the overloads if somebody else on your team wants to not do overload champions. And then Ascendancy as your rocket launcher. Again, you're going to have to coordinate with your team here since somebody has to take the overload champions, but you are going to want to run your Ascendancy or some form of solar rocket here. Now, as far as the aspects and fragments go, you're going to go Healing Rift, your choice of Glide. You only have one melee option, but then you're going to go Glacier Grenade. This will allow you to put up some cover and also help you get some synchronization with your fragments. Aspects, you're going to go Bleak Watcher for the turret and Glacial Harvest for the stasis shards. Whisper of Conduction, so the shards track to you. That's essentially going to be like Seeking Wells. Whisper of Chains, this is going to let you get some synergy with your freezing targets and also with your Glacier Grenade shards, or crystals rather. Whisper of Durance, so that your slow lasts a little bit longer. And then Whisper of Shards, so that you can get your energy back faster when you break those crystals. So this all kind of synergizes together here to make sure your uptime of your grenade energy is there, and also you're able to freeze things and get extra resistance as necessary. Now, changes to the armor. I definitely recommend Eye of Another World. You're going to swap out your linear finder for a rocket finder here, and then I personally run Protective Light since there's less survivability. I know Protective Light has been nerfed recently, but that's kind of my go-to. For the gloves, you're going to go stasis on the gloves because you want elemental shards. Now these shards are pretty key here because that's what makes your stasis shards apply as wells. So then you can combine that with something like taking charge to become charged with light, which then your protective light can proc from. On the chest piece, you can kind of go whatever element you want here because that's where you're going to put your elemental charge on. You don't need seeking wells because that's covered in your fragments. And then I would go whatever resist mods you want. I went double seasonal mods there. Your boots, you can go keep them the same with Well of Life. Now I know Well of Life only procs on solar elemental wells, so your stasis shards and wells won't apply here, but you will be able to generate solar wells from Explosive Well Maker. Since you are running a solar rocket and can do explosive damage, you can make explosive wells here. You'll just have to run and go pick them up since we don't have seeking wells on, but then you're going to have double bomber here to make sure you can get your grenade up even faster. Now the stat distribution here is not ideal. This is just a quick thing I threw together as a demonstration of what I would run if you would decide to go stasis, but that's kind of my recommendation here. This is a fairly easy Grandmaster, so I wouldn't worry about it too much. But yeah, that's a loadout I recommend. As far as team comp, again, it's fairly easy. Just make sure you have all the champion stuns together, and this shouldn't be too challenging. You saw how quickly the boss melted on our runs, and I wasn't even doing that optimal DPS. Yeah, so that's it. Thank you all so much for watching. I would appreciate it if you would like and subscribe as I continue to try and grow the channel, and let me know what you think and how your runs are going. So thank you, and good luck.